So I was one among the 20 creators that NASA selected to attend the Artemis III SLS core stage rollout in New Orleans. I was disassociating the whole week leading up because just the week before, I was one of the 10 million people glued to the Artemis II live stream. I was just at the planetarium for the Artemis II Splashdown viewing party 2, so it's just been really crazy and surreal, y'all. Like, I still don't know what's happening. Anyway, before flying out from my home base of Las Vegas, I asked planetarium director and astrophysicist Dr. Andrew Kerr if he wouldn't mind helping me get up to speed, since all I had on me by that point was a parasocial relationship with our 4 emotional support astronauts on the Integrity crew and an astronomical amount of Moonjoy. So we are going to the Etheridge Planetarium right now over at the CSN Cheyenne campus. Dr. Andrew Kerr, the planetarium manager, has agreed to give me some tips and talk to me about going to the Artemis III rollout. The way that I know you is because I have gone to a few planetarium events, love them, and you know, I love that after a showing that you guys also open up the telescopes and allow the community to, you know, look at the sky, look at the stars. Do you do anything else with the planetarium or CSN? Because I've seen that you're referred to as like the planetarium manager, but I also see that you're like a doctor and an astrophysicist. So what do you teach?
I don't teach anymore.
Okay.
I did start my career teaching at a school in Ohio, but when I moved to Texas to run a planetarium there, it was for a museum. So I did teach classes for the local community college, and then when I came here, I was able to not have to teach, and I kind of took them up on that. I taught one astronomy lab and was like, I think I'm done teaching.
You're like, I want to run the planetarium.
Yeah, and running the planetarium is a full-time job anyway.
Yeah,
It does take a lot. I have to worry about all of the money, I have to worry about all of the content, I have to worry about this, that, and the other.
Dome footage.
Yeah, I do all the footage for the dome and put it all together, and then we try and make our own using the Insta360, using the Kodak Pix Pro.
So cool.
I've made multiple meditations, basically combining music and cool visuals.
Wait, what do you mean? Do you guys host meditations?
Yes,
here?
we do meditation Monday once a month during the semester. Mondays at 12:30. Basically, it's just a chance for folks to come in and do a. You can basically just come in for a little bit of a quiet time.
Yeah.
There was one that started it all that was made by Ball State University, and they did a guided meditation with visuals. And so I really enjoyed that, and so I started trying to make my own. And so we have.
Is it open to
it's
community?
free. It's free and open. We've
We've
had
my jaw is
live-
also dropped.
We've had live meditations where people come in and actually do guided meditations, not just on the dome. We've had sound healers do sound bowls.
Wow.
And so we
gotta talk more.
Yeah.
That is my area too. I would love to experience that. You guys are open to collaborations in the future. Something that I also learned from the Artemis II mission is just I didn't realize how much geology and earth science was involved in space science until, because this was honestly, I've never really watched a NASA live stream until this one, and so Dr. Kelsey Young, finding out that she is actually like a geologist and she was leading that mission, I was like, wait, what?
Oh yes, they're living in the desert Southwest. We're actually in a very good location because there are a lot of what we call planetary analogs to other planets that are in the Southwest. There are dune fields in California that can stand in for dune on Mars and Venus. There's areas in Death Valley that have stood in for Mars for a lot of different things. And then there's places that are similar to the moon and
like Iceland, right?
Oh yes, there are so many different places where folks can go and actually experience what is very similar to an alternate planet's environment.
Wow, Valley of Fire, I always felt like felt very Mars. Like,
Oh yes, it is.
I'm like, this
It's
feels
also
like the
a
closest
stand-in.
to Mars that I will ever get.
Yep, and actually, you know, if you go all the way back to 1977 and A New Hope, like the scenes in the canyon with R2 and C-3PO on Tatooine, that was filmed in Death Valley.
Oh,
There are.
I do not have a hard time believing that.
Yeah.
That is no surprise.
And then also the dune fields down outside of Yuma, Arizona, on the California side, stood in for Tatooine for Jabba's sail barge in Return of the Jedi.
Whoa,
So there's been a lot of planetary analogs out there.
Oh man. Based on what I was reading on the issue that you wrote for On Orbit, it seems that you've been following all of the missions very closely, because I'm not gonna lie, I started reading some of it and I was like, I am not in STEM.
We pull a lot of that from NASA.
Yeah. When I was reading your actual piece on Artemis II, that's when I was like, I need to reach out to him because he knows so much about this. And I remember at the Splashdown party, I loved hearing all your commentary and insights when I was just watching by myself the whole time, you know?
Yeah.
So to hear some expert insights was really cool. For me, like just a regular space enthusiast and creative. But I wanted to ask, since you know so much clearly, what do you think we should look for or expect with Artemis III, and even particularly this SLS rollout in NOLA?
Well, exactly. Artemis III was originally going to be the moon landing again. That was what it was originally going to be, the timeline. That has been bumped back. I believe Artemis IV now is when they're planning to try to land.
2027?
Well, the 2027 is Artemis III.
Oh, okay.
What they're going to do is they're going to take the Orion capsule up and they're going to practice docking with things in space. So that's something they did a simulated docking in their orbit around the Earth that first day. They did a simulated docking, but they didn't do a full dock. And so Artemis III is all about going up into low Earth orbit and making sure that they can dock with things to be able to then from there head down to the surface of the moon at that point. And so that's it's kind of a next step. It's you know, taking one more step before we take that giant leap up into landing back on the moon again.
And I really appreciate like how careful and thorough NASA is with everything, and how they want to work slowly and thoroughly, especially when you're considering the fact that human lives are at stake this time.
Exactly. And that is always the consideration. They do not want anything to ever go wrong. They don't want anything to ever go wrong, whether it's an unmanned or a crewed mission. But especially with the crewed missions, they are doing everything they possibly can to make sure that there is no problem whatsoever. And there were a few problems on Artemis II. The toilets did not have the best.
In the beginning.
But that's, and then there were some comms issues as well. That was
Microsoft.
Yes, but you know, the reality is that the federal government relies upon contractors to do a lot of that stuff. When after they splashed down,
right?
the comms did not work.
Which is hilarious because it's like y'all had flawless communication like 200,000 miles away, and then like now we can't reach them when they're in the ocean.
And they called them on a satellite phone, is what they did.
And then they were, is that why? Because they were like, are you pushing the button?
Yeah,
like, that was so.
I was actually that was the only time that I think that I've ever heard Victor Glover sound annoyed at anything. He was kind of annoyed because he was like, yes, I'm pushing the right button.
Like, literally we're NASA astronauts who just did a whole successful mission in space.
And it's funny because that actually went through. That communication went through. But I mean, it's just, you know, there are some little moments like that. Luckily, that was able to be a lighthearted thing because there were.
We'd rather have
everything was perfect.
Yeah, everything else was
everything was perfect. They hit the atmospheric window perfect. They did everything perfectly coming down.
The splashdown time.
Splashdown time was to the second. Yeah, basically.
I was like, wow, that's the power of math and science.
It really is, and it's also it's the power of computers, but it's also the power of the people who check that all that stuff works too. Because They do not rely solely upon the computer to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And they never really have.
That's really cool. Though.
You go back a long time ago, and it was like, I'm not going into space until Katherine Johnson checks those numbers.
No, I'm glad because AI or like the LLMs out there don't even get basic things right anymore. When I try to used to help me write like emails with just to coordinate logistics, I'm like Tuesday, December 18th doesn't exist. Like that's a Wednesday. I have to keep checking and telling it, okay, this is not a real day. And I'm like, oh my god, all the time that I spent trying to correct it, I literally could have just wrote to Wednesday, December 18th
Exactly.
for myself. So I'm really glad. It makes sense to know that they're real, like the smartest people checking things over and over.
Oh yeah, it's a good thing.
Planetarium.
Yeah, why don't we go?
Hello, do you mind if we pop in here?
He's working on his show, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Doing the Saturnian moons.
Casual.
Yep. So.
Casually working on a show. Oh man, this is where we did the splashdown.
Yes, this is where we did the splashdown.
Yeah.
And we're not a huge dome. We're only a 30-foot dome,
I don't think
but it's
I've
not
seen
too
it
bad.
in this light.
Yeah,
Like,
usually it's dark,
this is
or I
like
have the
seeing
red
Space
light.
Mountain with the lights on.
The acoustics in here are very different. You can stand in the front of the room, face the wall, whisper, and everyone can hear you because it just bounces.
So a sound bath would be really
the sound bath.
lit in here.
Oh yes,
Oh man.
the
Gotta do
the
that.
last person who did a sound bath in here put me into the deepest state I've been in
I
a
believe it.
very long time.
Yeah.
So
I believe it. I'm gonna have to.
I was just like, oh no, don't bring us back out.
Well, what can we expect for Artemis 3? You know, for me, again, like I said, I'm the limits of my space astro knowledge. I took one intro to astronomy class. I did a lab. Found out, oh man, you got to be really good at math to get into astronomy, and that's not me. So I was like, that was fun, but I'm just gonna go to all the community events to fulfill like my space enthusiast desire. So I'm glad that you guys exist.
And the Las Vegas Astronomical Society also in town are
I want-
fantastic folks.
I've been wanting to go on one of their trips, like the Death. I know they've gone to Death Valley.
Yeah, they go to the Death Valley
I wanna
party
go.
over the span of the year so that folks have the opportunity to come out and get a chance to look through the telescopes. And
Cool. So they bring out their own telescopes.
they bring out their own telescopes. These are folks who have invested an inordinate amount of time and money into getting very good at what they do, and they share their toys
So
with
generous.
everyone.
Aw,
They are
I love
the
sharing toys.
They are the most generous folks you could probably ever find. And they are generous with their time, they are generous with their knowledge, they are generous with their equipment. And so we are very lucky to have the Las Vegas Astronomical Society.
Oh yeah.
And so,
That's good to know.
so hopefully, when it comes to Artemis 3, we'll be able to say, okay, hey, all the docking, it went perfect.
Yeah.
All the docking tests were able to actually do everything we need to do to then send astronauts to the moon. And that's the most important aspect of it. It's that next step in taking control of all the different things that you can take control of to make sure that nothing goes wrong when we do eventually try to put boots back on the ground.
Yeah.
And probably what will end up happening is they're supposed to try docking with two different organizations, craft that will eventually be used as moon landers. And so those will be sent into space and then put in orbit around the moon, I assume, so that then the Orion capsule will go link up with that, and then they will take from the orbit around the moon, they will take these landing craft down and then come back up, redock, and then bring the Orion craft back. So at least from what I've seen so far, that's probably what's going to end up happening. There was going to be a space station put in orbit around the moon called the Lunar Gateway, which was to function as a platform for going up and down. That's been canceled. So now I assume that it'll probably just be the landing craft will be sent there to go in orbit, and then the Orion craft will dock up with them and then take them down and then come back up.
Okay, so just so I'm understanding correctly, these like two separate components.
Yes.
Ah.
Orion is what the Artemis II was with the SLS, the Space Launch System, very similar to the Apollo stuff. Space Launch System was the part that gets them up into orbit. And then the Orion crew capsule, along with the European Space Agency's support capsule, is what went out and around the moon and came back. And then the Orion jettisoned the support capsule, and it will eventually deorbit, I assume. And then the Orion crew craft came down through the atmosphere by itself. And then, so for the future, we'll always be landing with just the Orion splashing down, bringing the astronauts back. But we'll also be taking the Orion out there to sync up with a craft at the moon and then take that down.
Okay.
So that, and then the Orion will actually stay in orbit with the rest of the platform that the lunar landing craft is a part of.
For this next one?
Well, yeah.
Ooh.
And so,
What do you
it's
think I
also
should
a
look out
competition.
for?
I don't really even know. The rollout is going to be interesting because I'm assuming that they might be rolling out the objects that they're going to be docking to as well. And that would be a very interesting aspect to see. Part of that is it's a competition between Blue Origin and SpaceX, if I'm not mistaken. And so they're both going to have craft that could be docked with, and then it's going to choose which of the craft is going to be sent to the moon to be used as the
They're
lunar
like,
lander.
fight.
Yeah, that's kind of
Basically.
what it is.
Sudden.
It's basically, it's a competition, and they're gonna carry out the competition in space in this time.
Wow.
So when you go looking for
Star Wars.
Yep, when you go looking at the Artemis III rollout, it's going to be, a big portion of it is that they're going to, anything that they're planning to change with Orion or anything like that, which is the crew capsule. And then I don't think there's going to be any changes to the SLS. They did have a little bit of an issue at the beginning with the battery on the launch abort system. But that seemed to be a sensor issue.
It was a sensor, right?
It was just the sensor showing an out of range temperature, and they did not think that the actual battery itself was out of range. So they have to, there's those little things like that, but those you're probably not going to see. My guess is that most of what you'll see is just them introducing the craft that's going to be used as the Artemis III craft. And then also possibly, I would hope that you might get a chance to even see what they're going to try to dock to.
Ooh, okay. I'm
That-
glad that you gave me this rundown, because did I know that there were two different components, like an orbital component and then like the actual,
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't know. So now I'm feeling really good that you explained that, because I can kind of like identify.
Start
what
to
I'm looking
visualize,
at.
you'll be able to see and know a little bit more about each part. And,
Yeah.
of course, the really big part, that's the SLS. that's
Big
what they.
SLS.
That's what they send you up into space in.
Yeah.
That pieces fall off so that you can get up there
yeah.
into space, and then you're left with just the small, basically the top part of it
Yeah.
left out in space. So
Cool.
yeah,
Can
and
we go check out the?
oh yeah, let's check out the shop too.
Thanks.
We can roll some pennies in the black hole.
Pennies in the hole.
Yeah,
Ooh,
we got the keys.
You got the keys. Cool. I'm so glad. I actually, for the splashdown party, I got a moon passport.
Oh, yeah.
And did I get the last one? Because I
Might
thought that
have,
was
because
so
it
cool.
looks like we're out now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is our black hole.
Yeah, just visiting a black hole real quick. Nice. So you do so much with the community here, which me, I'm part of the community. But have you seen this much engagement from it?
It's been huge. People are really interested in Artemis and the program to go back to the moon. I mentioned it before when I was talking to the reporters. The moon is one of those things that is just, it absolutely captivates humanity. And so that captivation of the moon lends itself to this driving a new resurgence in folks being interested in space again.
Yeah.
A lot of folks thought, well, NASA's not doing anything. It wasn't true, of course, but they weren't doing as visible of stuff.
It was all behind the scenes and quiet.
It was,
right?
and also there was a lot of the missions to planets. So you're looking at Mars Perseverance, and you were looking at Europa Clipper, and all those things, which are really cool as well. And James Webb was a very prominent part of what was done in the last several years, and will continue to be very prominent as well, because honestly, Webb is revolutionizing what's going on with the study of the way that galaxies form, looking for other planets around other stars, looking at their atmospheres even. And so we're really lucky that we kind of are, while it's been a quiet time, it hasn't been quiet where the science is related.
Yeah.
And now, since we just sent astronauts back to the moon for the first time in 54 years, they didn't land, but they were there.
Yeah.
They were on the far side. They saw meteors hitting the far side of the moon.
I didn't realize that they watched meteors.
Yes, they saw flashes where meteors impacted, and that was one of the things that the geologist that we were talking about earlier was thrilled.
Yeah. That's what they meant by lunar flashes.
That's what they meant by the lunar flashes. That was actually small rocks hitting the moon.
So they actually saw the
Yes.
rocks hit.
Yes.
I was thinking
There's
that meant
no
like it
atmosphere.
was the impact. They saw the impact.
It was the impact,
of it.
yeah.
Okay.
But that was
whoa.
they actually saw the moment of impact essentially,
I
and
didn't
which is even
realize
cooler.
that's
And so we've sent humans back to the moon. It's the first step towards putting humans on the moon again, and people are captivated by that. They just want to know more. They want to follow. And so the Artemis program has been one of those things. It's been a boon for science.
Yeah, and like also I think humanity, because they were saying that they weren't expecting it to have the impact that it had. They just kind of went out and, when I was listening to the press conference, the astronauts were saying that they were just expecting to do their job, and they were absolutely floored by the reception.
This crew, they were also the crew that was needed for this, because the four of them seem to very genuinely all like each
They're
other.
besties.
Exactly.
He said, we left as friends and came back as best friends.
The astronaut's creed is always to launch as friends and land as friends. And when you live together in a small group for as long as you do on the space station, or even 10 days, it's a challenge. But I am here to tell the world, we launched as friends and we came back as best friends.
All right, and with that, we will begin taking questions.
But the reality is the astronaut fraternity is very small, and they share experiences, and this group has shared experiences that others haven't for a very, very long time.
Right.
And so just that shared experience. And I mean, seriously, if you put 4 people in a container the size of the Artemis for 10 days, you better be best friends.
You're going to be either
done.
bonded for life or never wanting to speak to each other again.
Exactly. and luckily we saw the bonding that
I know, that
occurred.
was so nice.
And it is one of those good things. And even like the whole thing with Reed Weissman, he was supposed to leave the 0G indicator, and it was supposed to be got later. It's a stuffed toy that goes up that shows when you reach. Yes, Rise.
He has a name.
Yeah.
So cute too.
I did not think they were going to sell, and yet
They do so well.
And amazingly,
iridescent rings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
and Jupiter with his great red spot nose.
Who's this?
And
who's got a mullet?
This is the comet.
Oh, okay.
This is the comet.
This is Atlas.
This is with his tail.
And soon we're gonna have Pluto and Chiron back.
Yeah, we'll have Pluto back, and
my
Pluto's a
gosh.
dual.
I'm gonna need Pluto because I'm a Pluto stan. I'm a Pluto stan.
When the kids ask me about Pluto, I tell them that if they want to
orbit.
think of Pluto as a planet, they should. I have a PhD in astrophysics, and I still think of Pluto as a planet. And
Okay, good. I thought you were about to. I thought you
no,
were about
no.
to clock us and be like,
No.
I have a PhD and Pluto's not a planet.
Oh no, it's definitely a planet.
Okay, yes.
When New Horizons went by and sent back the footage,
Yeah, that's
it
one of the
was-
photos right there up on the wall.
Yeah,
Come on, that's not.
It
is
has-
a dwarf
it
planet?
has complex geology. It has complex landscape. It's not a dwarf planet.
Oh,
It is a
better.
planet. And so yeah, it's one of those things where I'm firmly on the side of Pluto as a planet.
I love, oh my gosh, tomorrow there'll be more of us. Before we head out, because I know that you gotta go too, and thank you so much for being so generous, this is so fun. Something that I was really floored by, for me personally, I'm a creative, I'm an artist, and
I wish I was an artist. I'm kind of an artist.
My hot take is that everybody is. Everyone's got it in them, and
Yes.
it's just a matter of like whether you nurture it or not, because everything is a skill and a practice, you know, that anyone can hone into. So that's my hot take. Well, I think one of the reasons why this mission really resonated with me from a creative perspective is because I was never good at math growing up. I was much more like naturally adept in literature, in the arts, you know, right brain versus left brain, whatever. So I just I've always kind of like fed into that stereotype where I'm like, oh, I'm not good at numbers, I'm not good at math, I'm a right brain or whatever, which I heard is not even
It's not even truly accurate, but it's sort of.
Exactly. So when I think of STEM and people in STEM, I was just kind of regarding it as a whole different world entirely, right? And I mean, in many ways it is, but I think what I was really interested by and what really captivated me with the Artemis II mission is how much human emotion was in it, and how, I guess, like they allow themselves to communicate, you know, their poignant experiences, and I always just thought of science as such a sterile thing, and this showed me a completely different side.
I'm going to tell you the truth. Most scientists wish they were artists. Just like a lot of artists wish that they could do math and all that stuff. And so a lot of scientists do nurture that artistic component of everything. You do find a lot of scientists who get into photography, who get into actually painting and doing things like that because they find that it's a creative outlet, that logic doesn't have to dominate your whole life. And in science, logic is the dominant aspect of everything. And so by expressing an artistic side, whether you feel like you can or not, even just trying, it allows you to open up pathways that you may have never even realized. And so scientists, artists, that's why we go into STEAM now.
Which I just found out through this. Through what you wrote in your editor's note. I have never heard of STEAM, because I remember I did not read this part when I was reading it. I just went into reading it. And I was like, I wonder what the A stands for. I wonder if it stands for astronomy. And then when it said STEAM is art. So bingo, just to catch you up, you know, STEM, right? Well, he wrote about how the case for STEAM, so it would be science, technology, engineering, art,
and mathematics.
And mathematics. I was like, I didn't know STEAM was a thing.
Yes, and it
so
is.
as an artist and creative, watching that and then kind of just processing everything, I was like, wow, there really is a place, and there's so much mutual ground, I think, when it comes to art and science. And I was thinking that it was an intersection, but after kind of like reflecting on it more, and I even like wrote my thoughts about it, it's more like a duality, like two sides of the same coin sort of thing, and not two paths that intersect, right?
Exactly.
So I was mind blown when I read this.
You can integrate art into a lot of science. You can integrate mathematics is an art anyway. I mean, when you really get down to it.
One right answer.
Well, no, there isn't.
Really?
That's the other thing. Everybody thinks in mathematics there's just one right answer. No, there isn't. There are multiple ways to get to an answer that is close enough. And unfortunately, science and math, a lot of times we take close enough as a good approximation. If you've ever heard the phrase, for purposes of this experiment, we shall approximate a cow as a sphere.
I can't say I have.
But what it's basically saying is that in science we tend to simplify things in order to be able to explain them easier. And the reality is that there is kind of an art form to that as well, in that you have to have a creative enough mind to go, how can I break this down into the components which is kind of the same way that people draw. When you really look at the way people draw, and they draw in their sketches with the box, and then they put their ovals, and they do all these different things, and all of a sudden here you've got a face from all these different shapes. It's breaking things down into its components, and to be able to do that, it does require an artistic mind as well. And for an artist, it actually requires a scientific mind as well in order to do a lot of this stuff, because you have to be able to see reality in order to reflect it in art. And when you see, for folks who are artists who actually see that reality, and sometimes they see it in different ways. But when you see that reality and then you can translate that reality, that's a science as much as it is an art as well. And so both sides have to rely on the other, which is why STEAM is a great thing.
I love that. I was so mind blown when I read that, because I wrote my first Substack, and it was about my thoughts on science and art, and it was a response to the Artemis II mission, because I just thought that they were different things, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, there's a lot of similarities in the way that their observations are being expressed, and the way that they're processing what this mission is.
They were trained by artists as well. Artists trained the Artemis astronauts because they went through photography classes, framing, all that stuff. But
I was like, why? They had to have gone through some sort of communication training on how to describe what they were seeing, because their descriptions were not just, they were concise, but they were also very descriptive in like creative ways. I felt like there's a lot of creativity to their observations.
When they were talking about where they were looking, the particular spots they were looking on the moon as they were going around, a lot of their descriptions were there's a little bit of just that scientist trained mind, but then you start listening and you're like, that's not just a scientist saying that. That's someone who has learned a little bit more than just their science when they're trying to describe what they're seeing. And
to allow the emotions to come through was really cool to see as well, and for also Dr. Kelsey Young to be receptive and she didn't discourage it. If anything, she was very encouraging of like that expression as well, and she seemed to express things on her side too.
Exactly.
So cool.
It was a two-way street. You've got to be able to communicate back and forth, and it was so nice. It was just so nice to kind of not think about all the horrible things going on at the time, and to be able to just enjoy something on a very basic level.
I think that's probably why this mission resonated with so many people and captivated us, because it was just a nice break from all of the fuck shit happening in other parts of this planet. I think a lot of us were inspired by the leadership and communication and collaboration and teamwork and camaraderie and XYZ
that we saw at that level. From the people of NASA, from the astronauts, from everyone involved in the mission.
Exactly.
The mission was a roaring success, and it is all due to the people who were involved in it.
Oh, hell yeah.
Exactly.
So, that's a good note to end on.
Exactly. And that's
Cry.
no, you don't have to cry.
I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. Thank you. That means so much. That's actually very encouraging. Yeah, like I feel like it's also fair to be intimidated by the opportunity. Like,
It is.
I
That
was
is
like,
true.
oh,